no need to feel down. I said, young man, pick yourself off the ground. I said, young man, cause you're in a new town. There's no need to be.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. Donald Trump just delivered the most important promise of the 2024 election, maybe of any election, by saying he is going to expose the monsters who traveled to Jeffrey Epstein's island and did despicable things with the world's foremost pederast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the people who engaged in the illegal activities that Jeffrey Epstein was offering on that island to be exposed and to be punished. Why hasn't the list been released? And you know why. Why did Jeffrey Epstein die in federal confinement? Because Jeffrey Epstein was an intel source and an intel operation. Now, Donald Trump has been talking about Jeffrey Epstein and his island for a very long time. The man is anything but consistent. In 2015, before he even announced his presidential run against Hillary Clinton, somebody who really doesn't want the Jeffrey Epstein list to come out, Donald Trump said this.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Well, now Donald Trump is following up, saying it's time for Bill Clinton to face the music for what he did in his 27 trips to Little St. James on the Lolita Express. And also, it's time for everybody else who's on that list. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, somebody I liked. It doesn't matter to me. As far as I know, I've never had anybody who's been a friend of Jeffrey Epstein on our show, but it really doesn't matter. All of you should burn if you went onto that island. Why are you being protected? Here's Donald Trump on the Lex Fridman podcast seconds ago, just released, saying not just he'll release the Epstein files, but why not the JFK files? Why not the UFO files? The truth shall set you free.
What?
A lot of people are very interested in the footage of UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that. But they also are pushing me on Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And I did release a lot, but I had people come to me and beg me not to do it. But I'll be doing that very early on. But I would do that.
There's a moment where you had some hesitation about Epstein, releasing some of the documents on Epstein. Why the hesitation?
I don't think I'm not involved. I never went to his island, fortunately. But a lot of people did.
Why do you think so many smart, powerful people allowed him to get so close?
He was a good salesman. He was, was a hale and hearty type of guy. He had some nice assets that he'd throw around, like islands. But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. They do that for danger, too, because, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
This is how you restore faith in the government. You restore faith in the government by not keeping secrets. By its very nature, keeping a secret from the public who fund you is anti-democratic. It means you don't abide by the rules. It means you don't respect the people who actually keep you going. And so the federal government should do this. But of course, they've lost their religion. Donald Trump actually talking about how America has lost its religion and how we need that back for a guiding principle.
One of the tragic things about life is that it ends. How often do you think about your death? Are you afraid of it?
I have a friend who's very, very successful, and he's in his 80s, mid-80s, and he asked me that exact same question. I turned it around. I said, well, what about you? He said, I think about it every minute of every day. And then a week later, he called me to tell me something, and he starts off the conversation by going, tick, tock, tick, tock.
Yeah.
Now, this is a dark person, in a sense, but it is what it is. I mean, you know, if you're religious, you have, I think, a better feeling toward it. You know, you're supposed to go to heaven, ideally not hell, but you're supposed to go to heaven if you're good. I think our country's missing a lot of religion. I think it really was a much better place with religion. It was almost a guide, you know, to a certain extent it was a guide. You want to be good to people. Without religion, there are no guardrails. I'd love to see us get back to religion, more religion in this country.
President Trump, of course, talking about Epstein Island and religion. This is, as opposed to the darkness being offered right now by the left. Just a reminder that with regularity, Donald Trump has been on the right side of the Epstein issue. When ABC News went and did a investigation into all of Epstein's victims on a hot mic, on a hot camera, one of their lead anchors, Amy Rohrbach, had this to say, saying she had the Clintons dead to rights.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
And when interviewed, President Trump's, the lawyer that prosecuted Epstein, when he got a slap on the wrist for sex trafficking, he said that President Trump's the only person who helped him, right? You don't think ABC would have reported on President Trump being engaged with Epstein? You don't think they would have, gone at the lawyers if they had said that Donald Trump had done anything bad with Jeffrey Epstein, that they wouldn't have come after him? Check this out.
Your opinion as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009.
Actually, you know that the only person who would have faced consequences or a trial in Jeffrey Epstein, the Jeffrey Epstein episode, horrible crimes that were committed, that would have been Donald Trump if he had done anything wrong. That's how you actually know that Donald Trump's innocent there. Donald Trump, I encourage you to go to Lex Fridman podcast. You can find it everywhere and listen to the whole thing. Remarkable conversation. But here's Donald Trump talking again about Kamala Harris and the chaos, horrors that she's created in this country from a military perspective, from a security perspective, and why we need to start holding people accountable. Awesome podcast. Go listen to it.
We have coming into our country right now millions and millions of people at levels that nobody's ever seen. I don't believe any country's ever seen it. And they would use sticks and stones not to make it happen, not to let it happen. We don't do anything. And we have a person who was the border czar, who now said she wasn't really the border czar, but she was. She was the border czar, but she was in charge of the border. And we have her, and she's saying very strongly, oh, I did such a good job. She was horrible, horrible. The harm she's done. But we have people coming in from other countries all over the world, not just South America, and they're coming in from prisons and jails. They're coming in from mental institutions and insane asylums. And they're street criminals. Right off the street, they take them. And they're being given to our country. Drug dealers, human traffickers. We're destroying our country.